up, and welcome back to the Inside the Diamonds podcast. I am solo tonight, so it is just me, Chris. I'm back from vacation, well cooked. Um, we tried doing last week, and some stuff happened with my son, and my nephews were over for the beach as well, and I didn't have a spare room to go record, so I ended up having to cancel. Um, but we're back this week. I'm gonna try to make this quick. Uh, JC's got some stuff going on, so he's out tonight. We got some news to get to, so we're gonna get right to it. Hoping to keep this at a half an hour, 45 minutes. We'll see what happens. So the first bit of news we're gonna get right to is the new rule that's been proposed about starting pitchers, and I actually am a big fan of this. So now there's been talk of setting up things for pitchers to go longer and starting pitchers to get back to. I think baseball's starting to realize we may never see a 300 game winner ever again. And doing this rule, if it sticks out, is something that we could potentially see that again. And I think that's what they want to do. And so if you haven't heard about it, the rule that's been presented is the starting pitchers go a minimum of 6 innings pitched for a start. So it kind of eliminates your bullpen games. It eliminates, matchups early in the game, things like that. But the stipulations to it are you can pull your pitcher earlier than that if he's given up 4+ earned runs or over 100 pitches or he gets hurt. Realistically, those are all fair. I think how are you not okay with that? So I'm a big fan of this rule. I hope it passes because I like to see that. I'm not I'm not huge on bullpen games. I really like watching a starting pitcher pitch. Like I grew up in the time frame of Randy Johnson, um, Pedro, Greg Maddux, Tom Glavine, Mike Messina, names like that. And so those guys went 7, 8, 9 innings. So I really want to see that again. So I hope this rule is something that gets agreed upon, and maybe they move forward with it. So the next thing I wanted to get to is I'm watching the Red Sox Astros right now, and the Red Sox are hopping all over Yusei Kikuchi right now. But that brings me right to it. The Houston Astros are the hottest team in baseball. They're 10-2 since August 5th. And it's both pitching and both hitting, and you're doing it without Verlander, who's hurt. They're second since August 5th in ERA, first in FIP, fifth in batting average, third in OBP, fourth in slugging, and third in weighted runs created plus. And it's coming from, you know, we'd think Jose Altuve, but he's been there. He's been all right, but the numbers are Alex Bregman hitting 390 with a 1.286 OPS, 5 home runs, 12 runs scored, 8 RBIs. Jordan Alvarez, who as I've heard people say is David Ortiz reincarnated. He's clutch, especially in the postseason. But right now, since August 5th, he's hitting 359 with a 1.295 OPS, 5 home runs, 9 runs scored, 11 RBIs. Yainer Diaz, who kind of came from nowhere, hitting 314 with an 862 OPS, 3 home runs, 4 runs scored, 10 RBIs. This team can score, and they'll put up runs. We all knew that. It's part of why when JC and I had that conversation a while back, like he was like, "Are you worried about them?" No, I thought they would be right back here. They're just that good, and the more surprising part is what they're doing with their pitching without Verlander. Framber Valdez, 3 games started, 3-0, 1.27 ERA, and 9.7 K per nine. Hunter Brown, another big name, 3 starts, 2-0, 1.96 ERA, and 9.3 K per nine. So the Astros are right back in the division lead. They got a 4-game lead entering play tonight over the Mariners. It seems like it's how it's supposed to be. They're back in first place and they're playing good baseball. Right now it's already 1-0 Red Sox. They just got a guy out at home. And we got first and second with 2 outs in the first inning. So they're getting after Kikuchi, who since he came over, he's 3 starts, 2-0. So he's delivering for them. We might get another run here. It might be 2-0. Yep, 2-0. Tough play. Another team that's just red hot is the Milwaukee Brewers. And I said a couple weeks ago, and I'll put my foot in my mouth, that I thought they were going to blow the division. Instead, they did the opposite. They have an 11-game lead now. And that's 10-3 in their last 13 games. Third, like I said with the Astros, they're third in ERA. in all baseball in that time frame. And the interesting thing is they're doing this with Christian Yelich done for the year. You lose your best bat in the lineup, or maybe top three bat in the lineup, and you can still just keep putting up numbers like this. I mean, at the end of the day, William Contreras having a great season. In this time frame over this last 13 game stretch, he's hitting 306 with a 1.137 OPS, got 5 home runs, 12 runs scored, 12 RBIs. Guy's just delivering. Continues to do what he does. He might be, probably is the best hitting catcher in baseball right now. Willie Adames, who was a name that was tossed around a lot in the offseason about trading, he's helping him out right now with a 313 average, a 1.020 OPS, 5 home runs, 10 runs scored, and 14 RBIs. And then the next one is Jackson Chourio, who was a big prospect coming into the season. He's hitting 294 in the stretch with a 906 OPS, 3 home runs, 9 runs scored, and 7 RBIs. The Brewers might just be running away with that. I mean, they realistically are. They have the biggest lead of anybody, and we'll get to that in a couple minutes. But they're good. And I'll put my foot in my mouth and say I was wrong and thought they were going to blow it. So, the other team I want to talk about that's really red hot right now, and they always seem to do this every year in the second half when, you know, they're just out of it. They get hot. They start beating teams, especially good teams. Like, but it's too late. And that's the Detroit Tigers. And as a Tigers fan, I like seeing it, but I wish they could just put it together for a whole season. They were 8-4 in their last 12, and this is where they were. Last season they got red hot in the second half. And it was just too late. They were just too far out of it. And that's partially why I had them winning the division this season. I had them the expectation of, what they did last year was going to carry over to this year, and they would be in the playoffs. Not the case. And right now I think they're 11.5 out coming into today. So, but realistically, it's Tarek Skubal's going to win the Cy Young, and that should be a case closed, no argument conversation. In this stretch since the last 12 games, and he's got a 1.89 ERA. He's 2-0 with a 10.9 K per nine, a 3.3 walk per nine, and they've traded away Jack Flaherty. They made some other moves, and they really only come into every series. And this is series coming up. They start tomorrow. They don't have anybody named for a starting pitcher, but they go into series now where it's Kyer Montero and Tarek Skubal, and then after that they just piece it together. So Montero, and then the name like I just mentioned, he's helping out. He's 3 starts, 3-0 with a 2.81 ERA and an 8.4 K per nine. And a big bat that they added back. They added Parker Meadows back to their lineup. And in this stretch, he's hitting 341 with an 894 OPS. He's got a home run, 6 runs scored, and 4 RBIs. And last night they beat the Yankees to take 2 out of 3. And Parker Meadows came through in the clutch. McKinstry tied it, and then Parker Meadows walked it off. So, and even in the last week, so they just swept the Mariners. Then they took 2 or 3 from the Yankees. 2 teams in the playoffs. Or the Mariners were in the playoffs, and they fell out of it. In this stretch, though, 1.29 ERA, which is the best in baseball. 2.93 FIP, 4th in baseball. A 9.0 K per nine, 10th in baseball. A .80 WHIP, tied with the Astros for 1st in baseball. And they're doing that, like I said, with just Tarek Skubal and Montero as their expected starters, and then after that they piece it together. Now, a lot of Tigers fans, myself included, are excited because you're seeing they just called up Jace Young. They called up the shortstop they acquired from the Dodgers and Trey Sweeney. We got Colt Keith already up. They got Justin Henry Malloy just got sent back down to AAA. But you're seeing a lot of their young prospects up here now, and you're seeing what they can do. And my issue with that, though, is you're not seeing what the young arms they got down there. I'm not saying call up Jackson Jobe. It's too early for Jackson Jobe to come up. He's doing his thing in AA. Let him go up to AAA and see what he does, and then maybe he comes up next year for the season. But you got an arm like Ty Madden pitching at AAA. Give him a shot. See what he's got. You're not in the race anymore. It can't hurt to call up an arm like that. Maybe he's a guy for next year, or he's not gonna. You get a view of him, and he gets to see some big league talent, and you go from there. So those are the 3 teams that I want to talk about during tonight. We're gonna roll right into it. We'll talk about the standings. And so going into play today, the Yankees and the Orioles are tied for the American League East. The Guardians have a 2-game lead. That's trimmed down. The Twins are coming. The Royals are right there. I really thought the Twins were going to blow that too. It's another team. I really thought something was going to happen. The Twins were going to fall off, especially because they didn't make any moves. But they're right there. The third one, the Astros now have a 4 game lead. It seems like they're just running away with the West, and the Mariners have struggled. Phillies, 7 game lead. They got this big series this week. We'll get to that shortly. But they got a 7 game lead in first place. And I don't see anybody catching them. I think it's theirs, and I think they finished with the best record in baseball this year. The Brewers, I spoke about earlier, 11 game lead. Really, that's their division now. The Dodgers are the biggest question mark. Do the Dodgers blow their division lead? I mean, it's been talked about for weeks that they were down to I think 2.5 at one point. Now it's back to 3. They're right there. And Otani's been struggling. Mookie's coming back. Freeman's dealing with an injury. And he also dealt with some family stuff. They're a team that they're top of their order is heavy. They get to the bottom, you get some question marks. And that's why I never picked them. And even when JC gets back in, we probably do a podcast talking about um, redoing our picks now that the deadline's over. And I don't have them winning it all this year. I just don't see it. I think there's too many question marks, too many injuries to pitching. Pat, I believe Glasnow just went back on the injured list the other day, so they're just losing guys left and right. And it's gonna be tough. The Padres look good, the Diamondbacks look good, the Giants are right there. So we'll have to see what happens going forward. But the real question I was gonna ask JC this tonight was, who does he think blows it? Because I think it's gonna be the Dodgers. I think. Do I think they actually blow it? No. I think they finish maybe a game in first place, and that's how they win it. I mean, you can't blow it if you're the Yankees and the Orioles. The Guardians, I don't think they're going to blow it. I think they're the team that's going to win that division. The only team I could see really catching them, and I might be wrong because I keep saying something about the Twins, but I think the Royals might be the team that catches them. But the Astros, they're not going to blow it, I don't think. The Phillies can't blow that. Brewers can't blow an 11 game lead. So it comes down to the Dodgers and the Guardians to me. And I think it's the Dodgers because I think the Padres are a good baseball team. And I think they're starting to put things together. And I think I haven't seen Tatis isn't back yet. So there's your question mark. He comes back and he plays like he does. They might come back and win that division. So now we'll go into the wild card. And we talk about this every week, where this could change in a blink of an eye. And it kind of has. I mean, really. Right now, the wild card spots in the American League are the Orioles or the Yankees and the top spot. And then the Twins and then the Royals. And then I only put one other team down. That's the Red Sox. And they're 3.5 back. So I don't put the Mariners there. The Rays aren't there to me. Tigers, like I said, they as hard as they are, they'd have to pretty much go, I don't know, probably way over 500 in the next 2 months to even sniff it. And I don't think they can do that. So that race it's tight, but it's not what you would expect. So the race that is tight, and you've seen some teams fall off, is the National League. We talked a couple weeks ago when we started this segment, and we talked about the standings and all that stuff. Um, the Pirates, the Reds, the Cubs, teams like that were right there. Like they were just sniffing it, and we knew like the Nationals were there, and we knew the deadline was going to cause some things. But the Pirates went out and added, and now they've fallen off completely. So right now it's the Padres, Diamondbacks, and Braves holding the 3 spots. And JC and I have said this week in and week out, where it could change in the blink of an eye. All of it could change in the blink of an eye. And the Mets are the team that's sitting right behind the Braves. I believe they're 2 out hanging to play tonight. And they got this gauntlet of a schedule coming up. They got the Orioles, they got the Padres, and they got the Diamondbacks. And I forget exactly how many games. I'm going to say realistically, if we sit here and say 9, it might be 10, but if we say 9, say they're all 3-game series, if they come out of that 3-6 or 2-7, they're done. You come out 6-3, 5-4, you keep your season alive and you're hanging on. The Giants are right there. The Cardinals have fallen off. The Cubs have somehow come back, and the Pirates are in last place. As much as I really wanted Paul Skeens in the playoffs, I think that would have been great for baseball. It would have been so much fun, but it wasn't the case, and they've fallen off, and now they're in last place in the division, which I didn't even see that happen. I thought maybe a fall off, but I thought they'd hover around third, fourth, but Teams got hot, things changed. The Cubs, again, you blink and the Cubs could be in the conversation next week. We do this again, we could have the Cubs like, I don't know, what, 3, 4 games back. The Giants coming from nowhere is interesting because I didn't see that one coming. So we'll see what happens with them. That is all I have for the news updates. I should have gone back and looked at last week being on vacation, but I didn't. And like I said, I kind of included the three hot teams over the last 2 weeks since I went on vacation with the Tigers, the Brewers, and the Astros. Um, the game last night for the Tigers was so much fun. I bet them. I have money on them to win the division. Obviously, that's not going to happen. I had money on them to make the playoffs. The only thing that I'm optimistic about with them is I think that Tarek Skubal is going to win the Cy Young, and I think that's case closed. The other thing going on is the awards are starting to get interesting, and I see a lot of people like I think the National League Rookie of the Year award is Paul Skeens. The American League Rookie of the Year is wide open. I've seen people talk about Colton Cowser. I've seen um, William Abreu. I think William Abreu is a pick, but I've seen Colt Keith is now in the conversation as he should be. He's been hot. Um, Go to Cy Youngs. I think it's Scooble. The National League is interesting. You could make the conversation for Skeens, but the Pirates have fallen off. That I think he's out of it now. I think it's Chris Sale's award to lose, which sucks as a Red Sox fan because we traded him away, and you kind of knew when you traded him away he was going to stay healthy and he was going to have his best season, and that's what's happening. So it is what it is. It sucks to see, but I'll always root for Chris Sale. Like he said when the Red Sox played them earlier this year, he had his best memories as a Red Sox winning his ring. He had his worst memories as a Red Sox because he got hurt and was injured after that. But he literally told you in 2018 that he was going to go out there and throw until his arm couldn't throw anymore because he wanted to come win a ring. So it's kind of something that happened with David Price. David Price was towards the end of his career, but he wasn't the same after that 2018 season and ended up getting traded to the Dodgers. I think he probably pitched there for 1 year and then retired. It's just how it goes. So we're into the point now where it's 2 weeks before August is over, and then we're in September, and we're into the stretch run. So if your team's sitting 5 games out, you got to start winning some ball games before the end of August. Because once Labor Day hits, the grind starts, and not just for baseball, but football season starts. So the grind is just everywhere. Which I do want to take a second. I don't put a link, but as a company, we have a football website. So if you're not interested in baseball and you're interested in something else, we do have a hockey website. We have a football website. Reach out to me, and we can do something there. But you know, baseball season's climbing. This is the time to get in. We just brought in 5 new writers, so the content's gonna be coming. If you want to write about your team, here I'll even put the link back up for you for joining us. It's kind of the same, I believe, for the other websites as well. It's just Inside the Diamonds, Inside the Rink, Inside the Gridiron.com. Join us. So if you were interested in that, please come do it. Um, Again, my new JC and I talked about it. My new top 100's out. We're going to be getting to the prospects here shortly. Once JC told me he wasn't going to be here, I decided to lay out a bunch of prospects and talk about them. So there's a bunch of stuff you want to do. Come reach out and let's talk. So with that all being said, let's hop right into the minor league prospects of the week. The first one I have is my 18th ranked prospect, Chase Stillwater. He's an outfielder, Double A for the Cleveland Guardians. Last week, and again, I should have probably looked at 2 weeks, but I didn't. I just kept it at 1 week. He went 7 for 16 with 3 home runs, 5 RBIs, 5 runs scored, 2 walks. Guy has been absolutely stroking the ball. I'm surprised he's not moved up to AAA by now the way he's had, but he has dealt with some injuries this season. Definitely a name to watch, though, in the future. Going to be a good arm for the outfield. I mean, a good bat for the outfield for the Guardians. So the next one, JC, if he was here, would love this one. 20th ranked prospect, though, of the top 100. It's Rhett Lauder, Double A, playing for Chattanooga for the Cincinnati Reds. He made 1 start last week, went 7 innings, picked up the win, gave up 1 earned run, gave up 4 hits, 1 walk, and 8 strikeouts. Now we're going to get into a team that I've talked about a little bit that, their prospects have been good, and they have the arms in their rotation right now that they need the bats to come up. And these are two names that I think are going to go back to back with Seattle Mariners prospects. They got to call these guys up soon. You got to get a look at AAA. You got to see what's going on. You got to see what they can do. Um, so the first one is a 23rd ranked prospect. That's Harry Ford. He's playing a double A for Seattle. Had a great week going 9 for 24 with three doubles, two home runs, six RBIs, 12 runs scored, six walks, and three stolen bases. The next one is the 25th ranked prospect. He's two behind his teammate. That's Cole Young. He went 11 for 24 with two doubles, a triple, four RBIs, four runs scored, and seven walks. He himself had a great week. My favorite prospect, and this guy continues to climb up my rankings. And, this week's a busy week for me. I was trying to potentially look into getting tickets because he's coming to town. I just don't know when he's pitching because with minor league baseball, they never announce the pitchers until like the day of or like a couple days after. But this is a guy, I talk about him every single podcast, I feel like. He is one of the best arms. And I said this to JC. The Colorado Rockies are going to be a problem in the next 5 years. And this guy, Chase Dolan, and all of their big prospects are really at Double A right now. So if you're in the Northeast region and you're listening to this, Erie, Altoona, those areas, New Hampshire, Portland, Somerset, Reading, those places I just named are probably more likely to see him than some other ones. But he'll be at New Hampshire this week, and that's Chase Dolan. He's the 31st overall ranked prospect by ITD. Pitching a double A for the Hartford Yard Goats. I'm a big Yard Goats fan. I love the uniforms they wear. Their hats are nice. And this past week, he just continues to do another name that I'm surprised is not a triple A yet. Went 7 innings, did not allow a run, gave up 5 hits, hit a batter, walked 3, and struck out 9. So, not a bad another pitching performance from him. I'm curious to see what he does. I'm not going now, depending upon when he pitches, but if it's tomorrow night, I'm going to have it on my little TV and I'm going to watch him pitch because I want to see what he can do. More so, I mean, I could watch him whenever I wanted to, but now that knowing he's going to be in New Hampshire, watching the Fisher Cats, I want to see it. So we got 4 left. And I'm going to actually prop this up. Do I have it? Oh, no, it's the old one. I don't have the updated top 100 for us. But with the draft happening in July, for August, after all the trades happened, I released the updated top 100, which included players that were drafted. And there's some good ones. So if you're not familiar with the draft, go take a look at the draft. Look at who's your team drafted, where they're at, and take a look at what they're doing. But the first one is Travis Bazzano. And he's playing at high A for the Guardians. He was the first overall pick by Cleveland. And he is the 41st ranked prospect. He's the top ranked prospect for me from the draft class. In his second week, I believe it's the second week of Pro Ball since he signed, he went 6 for 11. 6 of those hits, 4 of them were doubles. He had 2 RBIs, 2 runs scored, a walk, and 2 stolen bases. This guy was doing this at Oregon State, and just a lot of people, if you don't watch college baseball, you're missing on some good prospects, some good baseball. But this kid, he could be a problem. He plays second base, which is something the Guardians could use. Another team, I don't know how they got that first pick, but they did, and they got another prospect that's going to go with Dwyer, and they're going to do stuff together. I mean, this guy he keeps hitting. You could see him at Double A before the end of the season. I mean, we all know it's watching Paul Skeens. These guys climb the rankings quick, and they go right through the system if they're good enough. The next one from Paul Skeens' team, the 45th ranked prospect, another name I have nonstop talked about, and that's right-handed pitcher Bubba Chandler, who has been promoted to AAA. He's playing for the Indianapolis Indians. He went 6 innings, did not allow a run, gave up 5 hits, walked 2, and struck out 11. This kid's good. And I've talked about it with JC that Jerry Jones, Mitch Keller, Paul Skeens, and Bubba Chandler are going to be a good rotation in the future. That team needs bats, and they got to figure that out soon. Another name is the 69th ranked prospect overall, drafted also in the draft this year, out of Wake Forest, is Nick Kurtz. He's playing at single A, and he had a great week. 7 for 17, a double, 3 home runs, 9 RBIs, 9 runs scored, 8 walks. Again, if you're missing out on college ball, you're missing out on all these players. I wrote about the big three pitchers that were coming into the draft this year, and there was really four, and I left one of them off, and he fell in the draft. The one I'm thinking of that fell off was Trey Savage. He fell to Toronto, I think 25th overall. Um, the other three were Hagen Smith, who went to Chicago. Chase Burns went second overall to the Reds, and JC was excited about that. The Reds have some good prospects like that. NL Central, the Cubs are loaded with prospects. The Pirates are loaded with pitching prospects and a couple bats. The Reds have both pitching and hitting prospects. The Cardinals, who I'll mention in a little bit, have pitching and a couple of bats. They have another kid that they drafted, J.J. Weatherholtz out of West Virginia. He's just getting started at high A. He looks good. He might be single A. He's in the A level, one of the two. He looks good. So the Cardinals got pieces. The Brewers, we talk about Jacob Misarowski. We talk about Gassers up. They got arms. That NL Central is just loaded with young talent. That they're coming. And that division is not going to be easy anymore. So it's going to be interesting to see what those teams do, especially in the offseason. Like, you're going to have to move people. You might have to move one of those arms and go get another bat if your team's ready now. But that division's wide open, so is anybody ready now? There's a lot of question marks coming. The final prospect I'll talk about is the 92nd ranked prospect, and that's Quinn Matthews, who has jumped onto my radar very quick. I first heard about him probably in mid-May, and the more and more I've followed him, the more and more I'm impressed that this guy could be the real deal. And the Astros, I thought that was a lead gone. I was going to say, now they're showing why they're red hot. But this guy is, so I have Tink Hence as my top Cardinals pitching prospect. This guy might pass him come September when the rankings come out. But this is Quinn Matthews. He's a double A. He made a start last week. He went 7 innings, got the win, did not allow a run or a walk, and he gave up 5 hits and struck out 11. This guy is cruising. It's time maybe to take a look at him in AAA in Memphis. I mean, the talent that this team has. They're just, the problem is you're wasting Goldschmidt, you're wasting Arenado right now, where they were right there. They had a chance. They're better than last year. The pitching that they went out and added in the offseason, Lance Lynn, Sonny Gray, names like that, they're proving themselves. They're right there. So, those are the top prospects from the last week. That's 6, 9. We'll do a little bit more prospect talk real quick. The Boston Red Sox, we had not seen over the weekend, called up their big three in Marcelo Meyer, Kyle Teal, Roman Anthony. They're all at AAA now. They didn't stop there. They called up Christian Campbell yesterday, so now Christian Campbell, part of the big four, is now up there. They have a good prospect that they drafted in Brady Montgomery, who I was surprised fell to them. Quinn Priester made a start the other day. He looked really good. And then today, the prospect that the Orioles traded to the Miami Marlins in the trade for Trevor Rogers is Kobe Mayo. He's making his call up to the big leagues to play for the Marlins. He did appear for the Orioles earlier this season, but now he's going to be with his new team, and so we'll see what happens there. I'm hoping this stint with the Marlins is better than it was with the Orioles, because he didn't look that great. Speaking of not looking great, Jackson Holliday's turned it around. He looks really good. They just played the Red Sox this past weekend. They split their 4-game series. Jackson Holliday looked really good. So the final thing I'll get to, and again, I tried to say I was going to keep this to 30 minutes. I got some stuff to do to get ready for work tomorrow. I got higher-ups coming, and so I got to get some stuff ready. So I wanted to keep this short, but I wanted to give you guys content because we lacked last week with the issues, and so we wanted to make sure we got this out. And we're not skipping 2 weeks, especially in the dead heat of the season. So this week is a big series to watch. The first series is this week. I believe they don't play tonight. I think it's just tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday, and that's Braves-Phillies. Again, the Phillies are up by 7 games. I don't think it's going to be even close. I think the Phillies are going to win that division. But if the Braves, this could be something where the Braves lose 3 straight to the Phillies, and they're out of it again. Like the Mets could, again, I know that I said the Mets have the gauntlet, but the Mets win take care of their business, they go 5-4, 6-3, 7-2, they could pass the Braves. Finally, this weekend, we're gonna have Orioles Astros, which is again big series. Astros are hot, Orioles are good, so it's gonna be. I mean, that's two teams fighting for a division, and we'll have to see what happens. But I can't wait to see how the pitching matchup lines out for that. The final one that I'll talk about tonight, and I'll get everybody out of here, is the Mets Padres, and that's gonna be, like I said, the Mets. Their season comes down to the next three series: Orioles, Padres, and Diamondbacks. The Padres, if they want to catch the Dodgers, they got to take 2 or 3 sweep, do one of the above. So it's all. I mean, there's a lot of good series this weekend. I like this Red Sox Astros, but I didn't want to mention it after the Astros took care of the Red Sox single-handedly a couple weeks ago. Um, so I also, one thing I wanted to mention before we get out of here that just popped in my head. I'm trying to think of things that I forgot over the past week. Um, Diaz, the catcher from the Rockies, has been placed on waivers. Still saw nothing about anybody claiming him. I'm intrigued how that happens because he's a good player, former All-Star Game MVP. We'll have to see what happens there. That's something to follow. Um, I think that's it for me. I kept this short, and I gave you some news. I can talk about prospects. I want people to start letting us know like what they want to see more of. Because if I end up doing this again by myself, or if we don't have content, things are getting slow. Give us ideas, just something. So, with all that being said, I hope you guys all have a good week. I hope you enjoy your baseball, and it's starting to rain. So, have a good week. We'll see you guys next week, and JC should be back next week. Bye, guys.